The Javanese wayang is an ancient shadow play designed to tell the sprawling, high-stakes mythological epics of the Mahabharata. It is a rigid universe governed by destiny and divine law. At the center of this world sits the Amarta kingdom and its royal family, the prince Raden Arjuna, his wife Devi Sumbadra, and their noble heir Raden Abimanyu. They represent the peak of untouchable epic royalty. In a previous battle, Arjuna killed an abductor named Pati Kalagambira, unaware the man was a husband and a father. To settle this blood debt, Kalagambira's widow, the giantess Juwitaningrat, disguises herself as Sumbadra and replaces the royal heir with her own son, Sengoto. When Arjuna returns home, he finds a house full of jarring anomalies. His elegant wife suddenly craves raw meat. His royal son has transformed into a giant, arrogant brute who bullies the palace servants. This creates a narrative trap. Standard epic magic is useless because the enemy is already inside the home. Arjuna's own code of honor prevents him from attacking those he believes are his wife and child. To solve this, the Dalong, the master puppeteer, must look past the Mahabharata. They use syncretism to blend the rigid Hindu epic with local Javanese village folklore, finding a solution that divine weapons cannot provide. Juwitaningrat's plan moves the conflict away from the palace. She forces these godlike figures into the mud of a rural peasant tale, testing them in a world where their royal titles carry no weight. Meanwhile, the real Queen Sumbadra and young Abimanyu have escaped their captors and vanished into the dense, tangled Hutan Krendawahana. They are stripped of their wealth and their status. After a hermit rescues them, Sumbadra refuses to return to the palace. She chooses to stay in the wilderness, abandoning her royal life to hide in plain sight. This diagram tracks two parallel narrative worlds. The Mahabharata defines the royal court. The Sindalaris folktale defines an exiled boy and his rooster. Sumbadra executes the transition by renaming the heir Jaka Pengalasan, moving entirely into the peasant folktale. The wilderness becomes a crucible for the young prince. This forced isolation requires him to become a self-reliant survivor, providing a practical education that the luxury of the Amarta palace could never offer. To navigate this folklore reality, Jaka needs a bodyguard. A hermit creates the warrior Putit Aribawa from the discarded placenta of another hero, grounding Jaka's protection in local gritty mysticism. Years later, Jaka Pengalasan arrives at a village market, carrying his prized fighting rooster. This is a hallmark of the Sindalaris story, signaling that the boy is ready to reclaim his place. The imposter prince, Sengoto, is at that same market. Having been raised in royal luxury, he is using his supposed status to bully the locals and dominate the village cockfights. Sengoto corners Jaka and forces him into a public cockfight. It is a confrontation between the arrogance of a false prince and the earned skill of a hidden one. Jaka's rooster kills Sengoto's bird in the ring. When the imposter attacks Jaka in a rage, the bodyguard Aribawa intervenes and kills Sengoto instantly, ending the life of the false heir in the dirt of the market. This violent clash in a village square shatters the folktale piece. The death of a supposed prince forces the narrative to shift back toward the high-stakes world of the Mahabharata. The fallout is immediate. The hero Gatutkaca arrives to avenge the imposter, engaging in a massive brawl with Aribawa. They fight until Aribawa realizes their shared origin. Aribawa willingly merges his essence back into Gatutkaca's body. This reunion grants Gatutkaca the combined strength of both warriors, effectively returning the power of the placenta to its original source. Arjuna arrives, chasing the unrecognized Jaka Pengalasan back to the forest hermitage. He draws his weapon, preparing to execute the peasant boy who killed his supposed son. Sumbadra steps forward to stop him. She breaks the illusion not with magic, but by calling Arjuna by their secret domestic pet name, Bapane Kulup. She explains that the imposter lived in the palace, so Arjuna could unknowingly pay off the karmic debt for killing Kalagambira. While Arjuna supported the giantess's family, his real son was forged into a warrior in the forest. By weaving a gritty cockfight story into a rigid epic, Javanese storytellers kept these myths relevant. They turned the godlike Pandawas into a family that faces the same debts and deceptions as the people watching the play. In this Javanese tradition, nobility is a skill forged through resilience. The story concludes that true status must be earned through survival in the forest, rather than simply being inherited in a palace.